Hello everybody, my name is Starrapter and welcome to the channel. If you aren't familiar with what I do every week here, I talk about the comics, the novels, the TV series, and anything that connects into the Star Wars movies. This week we have two new comics from Marvel. The first one is the long-awaited issue number 50 of Star Wars. What a milestone. We have 50 issues of these. This started off the series back in January of 2015 and it hasn't stopped, and we are getting into the Hope Dies arc. This is the first part of that, where we are finally getting to the events of The Empire Strikes Back. After all this time, we've been, after the events of A New Hope, and we're, it's about a 3-year gap. So anyway, we're getting into this. We have the Rebels. They finally had their first real big kind of win against the Empire in a while, where they actually were able to get a lot of these Mon Calamari ships off of Mon Cala, and they have them all being fueled at this one base, and they think they are all, great. They're ready to do what seems like an offensive. Leia's there, Luke is there, and we have all the commanders like Mon Mothma, even General Draven is there, and they're all just having a great time. Even Queen Trios is there, who has had a big hand in helping Leia gain all these resources. But next thing you know, Darth Vader shows up. Not only does he show up, he shows up with like this huge fleet of Imperial ships, that including the Executor, yes, the Superstar Destroyer, the first time the Rebels actually see this thing, and the Rebels get locked down. So apparently, Queen Trios betrayed Leia. She was working with Darth Vader the whole time. She had this whole system locked, so the fighters couldn't scramble out of the hangars, and they were basically just sitting ducks. So you have Vader, he's coming in to show aggression, to just sow fear into the hearts and minds of the Rebels, and he completely just annihilates one of these ships. And that's kind of where we're left off in this issue, is it really just brings us into this new era of Star Wars storytelling for the Star Wars comics, and it does so in amazing fashion. So let's talk about the things that I like specifically about this issue. First off is just seeing how the Rebels can go from such a celebratory mood to just all-out fear and just, intimidation, to say it, lightly, is these people are just trapped. How are they going to get out of there? It's going to be pretty interesting to see how this arc kind of flows from here on out. I did like to see the massive Rebel fleet, right? So we have all these Mon Cala cruisers. Even one of them looked like Radish's the Profundity. Although, at this point, that would be destroyed, actually. But I guess they have similar ships like that. You gotta keep in mind that the Mon Calamari ships from Mon Cala, they weren't actually warships. They were pretty much just ships that are docile and it's just transport. So the Rebels have been refitting them with lots of armaments to be their ships, to their bulkhead ships to go against the Empire. It was really cool seeing Han Solo. He's doing his own thing. He's actually on the Ring of Kafrene. Yes, it's another Rogue One reference there. And he is getting tracked by these bounty hunters. And I've always thought about The Empire Strikes Back, about how Han is talking to Leia about, we ran into those bounty hunters on Ord Mantell. Are we finally going to get this storyline, please? Because Han Solo is talking about Jabba and about how he's going to pay him back. So it's nice to see that storyline also coming to a head with bringing back some of those stories that were heard in The Empire Strikes Back. And I kind of mentioned him already, but General Draven was definitely, it was nice seeing him. There's a lot of characters in Star Wars that we've seen in movies and they've kind of drifted into the background. So, very much background characters that we don't know the fates of. So it is cool seeing certain characters like that, and even Harrison Dula I might have seen in there. I'm not sure if that was just a General Twi'lek or something, because she's off with the Dr. Aphra series going on, I guess, around the same time, doing her thing. But yes, this was pretty cool because we also get another story in this book. It was an extra large book for $5.99, just so you know. This other one is actually Shu-Torun Lives. It's from the same writer, Kieran Gillen, with art by Giuseppe Camuncolo, who is actually the artist on the Darth Vader series written by Charles Soule, which I absolutely love. So nice seeing that kind of connectivity there. And what this story is about is we open up months before this, actually, with Vader, and he's on Mustafar, on that base that we see, his palace in Rogue One, another Rogue One connection, and he's talking to Ozzel, and he's talking to General Veers, of all people. Yes, we've both seen those guys in Empire Strikes Back, and they're talking about how they plan on getting these rebels, because the rebels, think about it, they're all like kind of scattered at this point. It's really hard to eradicate them. They don't have the Death Star anymore. They have this fleet, so they're just discussing how they're going to do it with the fleet. Vader has an idea. He goes back to Shu-Torun, where he has Queen Trios at this point just, just living there, abiding by the Imperial's plan for mining. And in this story, we get the setup for what Queen Trios does to the rebels with what they did on Jedha, where they brought in the mining craft, and then it leads into why she's betraying them the entire time. And it just gives us a little bit of that backstory that's not needed, but it's definitely welcome for sure. Talking about specific things I liked in this little story is seeing General Veers. I mean, yeah, you barely see the guy. Same with Ozzel. You really get to understand why Vader wants to kill Ozzel so bad in The Empire Strikes Back, because this guy, if you thought he was a dumb, blibbering idiot in The Empire Strikes Back, he's just as the same character in this, making stupid choices and decisions and whatnot. And you definitely see that General Veers has a very strong head on his shoulders. Seeing Mustafar was just great, because we've seen it in Rogue One. Now, we know that Vader is still working there. He's still kind of going about his business whenever he's not on the Executor or whatever starship he happens to be on. He is still on Mustafar after all those years. I did like seeing that flashback to A New Hope when we have Tarkin, and we have Vader interrogating Leia. That was really cool. I really liked the art design there by Kamen Kohli. It was nice seeing more of Queen Trios, because she's a very strong character that has been brought into these Star Wars comics, and she's only, lived in these comics so far. She hasn't gone into any other novels or anything yet, but I would like to see her more, because she's being a very prominent member, and she's very three-dimensional as a character. I mean, she basically kills her own guy to show to Vader that, hey, I'm not going to try to backstab you. Even though I have a room full of guards, I'm going to keep them under control so you can tell me what you want to tell me. And she lets Vader just wipe out all of her men because, well, nobody has to know that Vader was trying to, do this whole rebel thing with her, and they overheard. So it's like, okay, we got to kill everybody now. We can't have any witnesses. And Vader just goes into his Rogue One mode and just wipes them out. Blood everywhere, limbs all over the place. It was epic, to say the least. And the next comic I want to talk about is Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, adaptation number 4. So we leave off in the last one where we have Luke discovering that Kylo and Rey are actually communing through the Force, and he separates them. Then we go into a little bit with what is the story with Rose and Finn and DJ and how they're trying to sneak aboard the Supremacy, Snoke's capital ship. And we go into what is Poe and Vice Admiral Holdo's storyline, where Poe is trying to take command of what is going on with the Resistance as Hux is bombarding and taking out their ships one by one with the Resistance. And we end with Snoke and Rey and Finn in the throne room, and you know where that leaves off with that awesome cliffhanger. We have a preview of the cover for next month's issue, and it's going to be epic with those Praetorian Guards, my favorite part of The Last Jedi. So there isn't much to talk about as far as the contents of this comic. I mean, Gary Whitta, the writer, is doing an excellent job of just comprising all the major points that need to be hit up upon. There isn't a lot of fat, and so what he does really good is just trim out all the parts that, some humor is taken out of there that felt a little bit out of place to me, at least. So I really do like this comic. I will say the artwork is pretty good. I do have problems with some of the appearances of the likenesses of the characters, but other than that, it's a solid read. And the next thing I want to talk about is Star Wars Battlefront 2, because there is a brand new mode that was just released. It is Hero Starfighters, so you actually choose between your different villains, your different heroes, and you have 4v4. If you die as the hero ship, then you spawn in as any of the current regular fighters, the interceptors, the standard ships, all the bombers and whatnot. I thought it was cool how they actually mix all the different types of eras of ships. So you get the prequel ships in there, you get the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy ships in there. There's also some quality of life things in there. You can actually turn on and off your lightsaber if you want now, and there's actually some balancing issues with the lightsaber combat. So we also did get a roadmap for Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is very welcome. A lot of the games are doing this, like Star Wars The Old Republic, as well as games like Destiny 2 does this to keep their fan base engaged. So we do know what's coming out in August. We are getting Clone Trooper customizations, which will be pretty neat. We also having emotes as well to be bought with either credits or with money. Then we are getting the fall update, which is the big one. We are getting Grievous, we are getting Obi-Wan, as well as some skins, and we are getting that large scale mode that sounds like it's Conquest with those capital ships and all. That'll be fun. And in winter we are getting Anakin Skywalker, Count Dooku, Geonosis, some more skins. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to in Star Wars Battlefront 2. I am a little bit disappointed that they are holding back some of that content that, you know, they said it was coming out fall. For instance, like Anakin Skywalker and Count Dooku and Geonosis, I thought those would be on fall. So they're kind of splitting it up like they did with the Han Solo content, which is kind of, you know, I don't really like that. And there's not really a lot new in this roadmap. Now, let's say the roadmap is ever changing, they can add more content to it as well, because for instance, they didn't mention that they were adding a Solstin skin in the patch that just came out with Hero Starfighter. So yeah, if you want to spend 20,000 credits, you can be a Solstin now. So, you know, I'm still going to be playing Battlefront 2. Like I said, the game is a lot of fun. Too bad it isn't like this when it launched. You know, it's unfortunately they lost a lot of player base because they were mad about the microtransactions. But anyway, that is going to do it for me, Starrapter here. It is 4th of July in America, so if you guys are celebrating, have fun, be safe. And if you guys like this video, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, because I do a lot of Star Wars content on a weekly basis. I talk a lot about other things such as the games, even Final Fantasy Flight stuff. Like I got into Star Wars Destiny, or at least I'm going to get into Star Wars Destiny, maybe the card collecting battle game. I also do a lot with Star Wars Legion, and I did at least some with X-Wing. But anyway, I like talking to you guys. So what did you like about this week with the Star Wars comics? What did you think of Star Wars issue number 50? Did it live up to the hype? And are you enjoying the adaptation for The Last Jedi? Let's talk about it in that comment section below. My name is Starrapter, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.